Hey everybody, what's going on? This is R2 Deepu here with another episode of Late Stage Capitalist. I'm reporting to you on July 13th, Wednesday, 2022. As of right now, it is 10:40 a.m. New York time, and the CPI numbers just came out a couple hours ago. And as you can imagine, not great. US inflation quickens to 9.1%, amping up Fed pressure to go big, as reported by Bloomberg. We here at the late stage capitalists obviously know that the markets will reel as we make shocked Pikachu face because, well, we knew this was the case all along. In fact, it is very likely not just 9.1%, but rather the government is unwilling. They don't have the stones to tell us that it's in double digits. So they do whatever they can. They'll change how it's calculated. They'll fudge the numbers. They'll take data from only certain places. They'll ignore other real world details to get the best number that they can give us, which was 9.1. So everything was down 1.5%, 1% before, but now things are sort of come back up. Perhaps all the inflation was priced in. Anyone who was going to take their money out because of inflation has already done so. So, yeah, no real shocks here, I suppose. But today's big story, what I wanted to talk about was the very recent developments in the Starbucks Corporation. Here it is reported by Yahoo. Starbucks is closing 16 stores across Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, and other cities due to higher frequency of challenging incidents. First of all, 16 stores doesn't sound like a lot, especially when you think about how many Starbucks there are in the world, in the United States. If I pull it up here, 15,000 locations, 15,500 actually, locations in the United States. And Starbucks is closing 16 of them in one fell swoop in major metro areas. Very sad indeed. Okay, so here's what I wanted to get into. They are citing safety issues. And that is completely understandable. That is completely understandable. The quality of people has dropped off a cliff, as I mentioned repeatedly on this channel. Why are they closing these particular stores? You know, there are 15,000 stores in the United States, and they're closing these 16. What is it about these 16 that warrant them being closed, but not thousands more? So like it obviously isn't about the coffee business because all these other places are going. They are citing safety concerns, which could sound reasonable. These are locations in dangerous areas right now: Hollywood, California, LA, Santa Monica, Philly, Portland. These are all areas where we have seen a lot of dissent. I think it's a lot of things. First of all, the Great Reset has something to do with it. The Great Reset has something to do with it on a couple of fronts. First of all, the ideal customer is not walking into Starbucks at the same frequency that they used to. And by that I mean offices have shifted to working from home, or at least in part or completely. So now the Starbucks that were near offices and really profited from these well-to-do customers rolling in, grabbing their coffee, grabbing coffee for the office, paying a premium for it, and bringing it back is gone. It's lessened, at least. It's lessened. So that is that kind of reset in commercial real estate does have an effect. I would also argue that the cafe business model ain't what it used to be. The days of that cafe and friends, everyone hanging out, everyone having a nice big fancy mug of an artisanal cappuccino beverage, and then everyone's going to return their ceramic mug and there's no problems. And yeah, those days are gone, man. Those days are gone, especially in the big cities. The idea of opening an establishment where people can just hang out in your establishment, sit in your nice furniture, and not wreck the place is behind us. Those days are behind us. I kind of saw the transition take place. I was, like I mentioned a lot, I used to try and be a writer, so I would love the idea of going to the cafe to try and write. I got a very firsthand view of how the cafe struggled to stay a cafe. It struggled to stay at cafe. This isn't Europe. This isn't. You can't have your little cute little table on the sidewalk and then people sipping their Turkish coffee. No, no. In New York City, you're gonna get someone pile driven through that table, in the middle of your coffee. So you can't do that anymore. Early 2010s, cafes were still a thing. You could walk around Manhattan, go into any Starbucks, or we have a chain here called The Bean all around Manhattan, and it would be full of people working, and business was booming. You had the bathroom available, you had tons of nice seating, you had the Wi-Fi provided. It was a great place to meet people and have a conversation, or talk to a stranger, or just read the newspaper. It was what a cafe is known for. It was a nice, peaceful spot in the city. What it started turning into was a public utility. People were using it as bathrooms because the city didn't have enough bathrooms. So now everyone was going to Starbucks just to buy an item to get the code on the receipt to use the bathroom. What you started to see more of was more loiterers, not enough spending going on. If you went into a Starbucks in the city just to hang out and you didn't buy anything, the staff would eventually come out, walk up to you and say, "Hey, what can I get you?" And then they would get you to buy something, right? So, that kind of abuse of the available facilities was already starting to happen, right? And now it feels more and more like the establishments are just not having it. Different cafes will have their different approaches. Some just shut down completely. Some stopped offering Wi-Fi. Others changed their hours. The most recent strategies have been to not offer indoor uh, dining, indoor seating at all. They will just lock the doors and say drive-through only. Yeah, so that all the conditions for running a cafe are not ideal, as I think I'm laying out. So that's me understanding where Starbucks is coming from a little bit. But when you look under the hood for a little bit, and you look at the intel, they don't want you to see, you will see that in most of these locations, unionizing was either happening or about to happen. And this also affects the bottom line for Starbucks as well. Because if unions form, wages are going to go up. The workers' rights are going to go up. Their ability to negotiate is going to become stronger. So Starbucks, I'm guessing, gut feeling here, in an effort to send a message to the rest of the Starbucks owners, they're shutting down these stores straight up. These are big locations too. This is Hollywood, California, Santa Monica, Los Angeles. They're not doing it in small cities. They're only doing it in the big cities, and in towns where crime activity can be significant. There can be significant crime activity. There's no doubt about that. And as we discussed in yesterday's episode, there is a risk that clerks and retailers have to deal with today that they didn't have to deal with as much previously. There's liability that comes with that too. There's bad press that comes with that when it gets out of hand. So yeah, ugly situation all around. But it would not surprise me at all if the unionizing of these locations is the biggest reason. Now that I think about it, I think this could be about unions, but it could also be about not wanting to deal with the insanity of people today. I mean, it does not take long to search the web and see customers absolutely losing their mind over. Think about the video from yesterday where the Fry restaurant had the three customers lose their mind over the extra cost of sauces. And it's like Starbucks could easily upset clients in the same way by saying, "Yeah, well, this latte is $10 now." And it could like cause a thing. So this leads to my theory about what Starbucks will become, at least partially, and maybe all drive-throughs actually, because a trend we have started to see lately is the customer at the drive-through being upset and then jumping through the drive-through window and like doing stuff, doing things, which is it's crazy. It's crazy that they do it. And maybe they do it because someone is filming in the car and they're trying to get likes, or they're really just out of their mind, or they were just never raised, or whatever it was. But so what I think will be the result of this unruliness is that restaurants and places with drive-throughs will have basically a bulletproof box that they put the food inside that extends to your car, and you can open that box and get your product, and you can go. You're not going to get a direct handoff from the clerks anymore. And before you get your food, you will have paid. I know that's always how it's been, but now you're going to be paying through some sort of like non-direct sort of way. You're not getting, you're going to be paying digital. You're going to tap to pay at some, RFID thing before the bulletproof box gives the food. That's where I see it going. Or we start to see more people employed at these places that could defend themselves with better defenses. Because right now, like Starbucks, think about who works at a Starbucks. It's like it'll be, some budding college students who can't hold their own physically if someone unruly climbs through the window. So maybe they start hiring, stronger people, older people, people who have karate training, perhaps. Starbucks did have a little bit of a stock dip based on the announcement, but seems to have rocketed right back. I mean, that it is just a smart move to close these spots. I mean, I have always thought that the cafe was not a good model, especially like the way the markets are going, the way commercial real estate has shifted. It's not the same. Maybe it'll bring balance back to the forest. Maybe uh, mom and pop cafes can fill the void. But I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that'll happen. Too risky, too dangerous. Well, that about does it for today's episode of Late Stage Capitalist. Please follow, please sub, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And follow me on Twitter, R2Deepu on Twitter and Instagram, R2Deepu everywhere. And that does it for today. Thank you. We're all going to die. See you later. Bye.